Okay. It's come and gone, WarGames. And we're here. And I know people looking at the title like, why? Why you said that? Why? Simple. Because that's what it is. I'm sure JD's going to say this is a great show. And he's right. I'm sure Just Alex is going to say it's an amazing show. And he's right. It can be great and amazing and still be B+. Because that's what we got. Guys, look. We're missing a huge amount from the show. We're missing the Undisputed Champion. We're missing the U.S. Champion. We're missing LA Knight. We're missing Jade Cargill. We're missing Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and guess who? Jimmy Uso. Missing even John Cena. Yes, I know John has gone back to work. But the point is, any huge amount of star power they could have used on this show to really help it is not there until the end of the show. Let's make it clear. This show needed more. And they only got a little taste at the end. That doesn't justify saying this is an A+ show. I don't know about the others. Maybe JD will say, hey, this was a good show, but it wasn't the greatest. Maybe Just Alex will also say the same. Or Just Alex may say this was the greatest show, it's an A+, what's wrong with you? Maybe JD will say the same thing. But I am a realist. And I'm looking at this show for what it was. It was just not that great. It was good. But it wasn't great. Let's open. The women's WarGames match. Now, I thought maybe they may throw the women at the end. Because since Roman Reigns is not there, they've been doing emphasis on women more on SmackDown than they normally would. To try and compensate for him not being there. So I thought maybe they would close the show. But they did not. They opened. Now, the two who started it was Bayley and Becky. Now, there's been a lot of talk about will Bayley turn due to the fact that Damage Control is trying to get rid of her. There was none of that here. Throughout the majority of that match, Bayley did everything to protect Io, Kairi, as well as Asuka. She did everything she could to protect them until she got nailed and taken out. Then, on the opposite side, everyone wondered will Charlotte and Becky start going at each other's throats. By the end of it, once they had destroyed, who was it? Did they basically nail Kairi? They both nailed Kairi together. When they finally decided after that, and they were so hyped up and full of adrenaline, they just hugged each other. I can't tell you in real life, let's make this clear. I don't know if Becky and Charlotte are friends again. They may not be. They just did this because they required it. Because of storyline purposes. So that might be the reason why they were willing to do what they did. Are they friends? We don't know. They may still not like each other. But like I said in my SmackDown review, you don't need to like someone to get the job done. You are paid to work together and not screw up. You're there to make the fans happy so you can get this. That is their job. So if they have not become friends before the match even happened, if they hadn't buried the hatchet and they straightened out the problems, if they're just working, then that's a win. I don't care if they're friends. They can hate each other's guts. As long as they do their jobs in the damn ring and in the promos and not make the company look bad or each other, I don't care if they hate each other for life. All that matters is they do their jobs. And they did. They went with stories showing that they're friends again. They hug one, well, at least it looks like they hugged each other. The question is, will they continue doing this? Because since Becky can jump to Raw or SmackDown when she wants, who knows? Now, second match. Oh, almost forgot. Since I am putting images in. You see this image of Io Shirai in a trash can jumping from the top of the cage down on everybody. Now, of course, Charlotte did her famous moonsault that nailed, and I believe I'm right. Now, let me talk about Io first, and then I'll talk about how badly botched that was. That I believe hit Io in the head, and it was not in a place you would think. But Io decided to climb the cage. She decided to climb all the way up to the cage. She had a chain with a hook on it. She goes out throws the chain down to the floor outside the ring. And Dakota, who's been helping out on and off during the match, because she wasn't in the match, but she did throw a candlestick in there and tried to help out, hooked the can, she pulled it up, put it on her head, and decided to go bird sideways and landed on everybody. That was a very dangerous spot. Was it a spectacular spot? Yes, it was. That was the highlight of the entire match. Let's make it clear. It was not Charlotte doing a moonsault off the top of the cage. It wasn't. I'm sorry. And I will tell you why she messed up on that. But that was the highest spot we ever seen in a WarGames match. That someone would be crazy enough to get to the top of the cage, and instead of just doing a splash, or maybe do what Charlotte has done, put a can over the body and fly straight down on everyone else with aluminum. Remember, this isn't solid steel. They couldn't take a hit from solid steel. This is aluminum can. This aluminum can. That's what it is. Or aluminium for my European subscribers, if there's any. I know what the word means. Aluminium. I know it. But the point is, it is not a solid, hard type of material. It bends. But it's still dangerous. And she landed on everybody. Now, it looked like everyone was fine. At least until Charlotte decided she wanted to do her spot and does her moonsault. And let me make it clear. I don't have a problem with Charlotte. I don't hate Charlotte. I know she does a lot of politicking because she's a Flair. There's no problem. But here's the thing. That moonsault was botched. It was. You know why? When she did the moonsault, guess whose head she landed on with her crotch? It was Io. She landed right here. Her leg was where my arm is, and her crotch was right here on the top of the crown of Io's head. Go watch it for yourself. Go look at the spots yourself, and you will see that Charlotte's crotch hit Io, and I believe it was Io. If it wasn't Io, it was Kyrie, but I'm sure it was Io, on the top of her head here. Somewhere around here, her crotch hit. And remember, she ain't a guy. She got no something here that would get squished and get hurt. It is nothing there. So it's solid bone. Now, I'm not saying Io was badly injured. It was probably a glancing blow, like if it wasn't Io, it was Kylie. A glancing blow. But that was a hard blow to the head. It glanced, but still, I don't care who it is. There ain't no padding down there. That's how bad it was of a botch. I would have thought she would have done better than just to do a splash. That would have been better. But since she wants to do her own signature move, which in this situation, you can tell how she landed. Oh, she was fine with it, but you could see her holding her head like this. I'm just saying. Of course. Who won the match? The one who got the pin, I believe, was Belair. She got the pin. She was the one that got the... No, it was Becky who got the pin because she did a manhandle slam through a table with Bayley. Bayley ate the pin. Hopefully, they'll do something with Bayley after this. I don't know. Next, the IC match. Let's make it clear. Was this a bad match? No. I'm sure people are going to say that Miz is just not that great. When he wants to, he can be a very good wrestler. It's just that he doesn't always do it. Let's make it clear. He's more theatrical than he is professional wrestler. But when he does decide, when he wants to crank it up, he can. Now, was this a perfect match? No. Because certain spots, it looked like there was some miscommunication, particularly at the end of the match, when Miz, instead of rolling to his right after he got nailed by Gunther, he went to his left. And Gunther had noticed that he went the opposite direction because he was heading to do a splash off the top of the top turnbuckle. But that did not happen because he saw Miz go to the other place and he jumped and had to run to the other turnbuckle to his left to jump on top of Miz, smash him up, bash him up, and then get the win. What is it, 533 days, I believe, or 32, he has been champ? I'm not going to tell you the match was bad because it was not. But now what? This is where the big question is. He's gone through Chad Gable. He hasn't gone through Shinsuke Nakamura, but Shinsuke doesn't look that great. He's already gone through Bronson Reed. He's already gone through how many people already? Very few people left on the roster that he can deal with. He's gone through Otis. He's gone through Chad Gable. He's gone, I don't know if he's going to go through, no, he shouldn't go through R-Truth because even though he was there, and I'll talk about the advertisement in a moment, but we did see R-Truth, but I don't know if he's going to be involved in anything because the first time we've seen him in who knows how long, he's run out of people. They're going to have to recycle everyone again unless they're going to bring up somebody from NXT to be a new challenger. Now, advertisement. Oh, dude. This is TKO WWE. Tell me this is TKO WWE. Because remember, and I'm not against them because AEW does the same thing. They do a lot of advertisement with DraftKings. They do. What is it, DraftKings for AEW? I believe it's AEW, or is it WWE that does DraftKings? I think they both do it. I'm not sure. But WWE had a lot of advertising. DraftKings, Ruffles. They did the Slim Jim when it was a repeat of Slim Jim's when it came to LA Knight. And I did like his commercial. It did remind me of an homage to Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, you dig it. You know, everybody. You know that I love my Slim Jims. Yeah. That hurts the throat. That guy had a voice. But then we see, I don't know if I got a shot of it into my face. We see New Day coming in what? I can't remember what car it was. I do not think it was a Mustang, but it could have been. I'm not into cars. Can't remember what car it was. But a Slim Jim car. With Slim Jims in their hands. And then they do the spot with Ruffles when it has the tag champs who are not on TV, other than that spot. Alpha, and that's the women's tag champs, not the men. The Alpha Academy eating Slim Jim, well, not eating Slim Jim, eating Ruffles, and then R-Truth, and then Pretty Deadly. That's what they did. The only thing they didn't do was the titles, those special titles for football. They just did constant advertisement, which it felt very corporate. I don't know about anybody else, but it obviously shows that Ari Emanuel wants corporate insertion into wrestling. He wants more advertisement, just like UFC. And there's going to be a point where they're going to have to say, okay, this is as far as we go. We don't want to piss off our fans. They're going to have to learn which one it is. But I can tell you, it's there. Next. Let me give it to you like this. I don't hate Dragon Lee. Don't hate Santo Escobar. I don't. But this match should have been on Raw. I'm being honest. No Carlito should have been on Raw. Look, when you see the match, it was obvious Santos Escobar had to win. I'm not saying that if Carlito was there, he would win. He would not. But he had to win. But since supposedly Ray is injured, had to have surgery, they could have done something with Carlito. Build up Carlito to deal with the situation with Santos Escobar as a member of NWO. If you cared so much about Dragon Lee, and this is where people, and I heard Solomon to say, I am glad that Carlito wasn't there, it was Dragon Lee. Well, if it was like that, then you should have made Dragon Lee member of the NWO, which he might become one. But to be honest, I'd rather see Carlito, because he's got more history with Ray than Dragon Lee does. Dragon Lee got a mask from him, but it's not the same as Carlito, who's known Ray for a long time. They knew each other for years before he left 13 years ago. I felt like that was a wasted opportunity. Honestly, that's how I felt. It was like a wasted opportunity. It should have been Carlito, unless he was legitimately injured, like I said in my SmackDown review. If he's not injured, if he's perfectly fine, this was a waste, and it should have been on Raw. I'm just being honest. Next, the women's Raw tag team. Well, I'm about to say tag team champs. This is where we don't even have the women from the tag team. We don't see Chelsea Green or Piper Niven. Nothing. That just shows you how much they don't care. Because they were doing that Ruffles commercial. And in the back. We have Zoe Stark. We have Rhea Ripley in a match that supposedly had a story, a feud. I heard, and this is what gets me, I heard Michael Cole say their feud. There is no feud. There's no feud. Legitimately, there was no feud when it came to Joe. It's making my scalp itch. Look, guys, when you see Zoe, when you see Rhea, this was just because of the Battle Royal. There's no feud. And hearing Michael Cole say there's this incredible feud to happen between each other, there's no feud. It feels empty. And that's the problem. You're on Survivor Series. No matter if you call it WarGames, Survivor... Become. No matter if this is Survivor Series WarGames or Survivor Series, you would expect, since it's one of the big 4 pay-per-views, to make it mean something. But like what happened with No Carlito, because he's not on the show, just like all the names I mentioned earlier, it feels empty. It felt like Rhea needed a real opponent, and they had none for her, so they just threw her Zoe to give her something to do on Survivor Series, and that's how the match felt. It felt like a good match, but it was just someone to feed to Rhea because they don't have anybody. That's what it felt, guys. Kind of like what happened with Gunther, but at least with Gunther, when it came to The Miz, he does have history with the IC title. He has shown how important it was, and he would have won if he had won. He would have been the only other person next to Chris Jericho to hold the title 9 times. At least with there is some level of story, but it's The Miz's story, not Gunther's story. Gunther is just his title reign, it's his story. With The Miz trying to show that he's still relevant, that he could reclaim that and take it from anyone. Here, there is no story. So Rhea winning, even though she kind of looked like Joker with that little mark here, and then you got the, what? What was that when it came to Zoe Stark? She wanted to look so unique. She got a claw mark across her face. That reminded me of the Road Warriors. The Legion of Doom. And I can understand if that was homage to Hawk or to Animal. I can understand if she did that. That made sense. And this kind of made me think of Sting. Not saying it was that she was doing that, or to the House of Black, to her husband, well, fiancé. But you get my point. There needed to be more, and it wasn't. Finally, the men's WarGames match. We got Seth and Finn opening the show. We got them opening that match. Now, Randy was still not there. Our yeet of Jey Uso is saying, he's not here because of me. He's not here because he's angry because of me. This is my fault. I should not be here. And Sammy's trying to reassure him, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Don't. It'll be all right. And Cody reassuring everybody, Seth, Sammy, and Jay, that he's going to be there. So they went for the match. It was not a bad match. I want to make this clear. Both WarGames matches were not bad. They were okay. They were good. They weren't great, but they were good. At the end of that final match, we got Rhea running out with the briefcase because Damian had a plan that if there's no Randy, he's going to try and cash in after they wipe out everybody. And then Randy comes out looking clean cut and looking actually bigger than he last looked. He looked like he'd grown like this. So he looked good. But the big question, would he start doing the stuff he used to? Remember, he's got double spinal fusion, I believe. 2 vertebrae, I believe, in his back, I believe. 2 bones in his vertebrae have been fused. They told him he shouldn't be wrestling anymore. They told him already, this is what we know from reports, guys, that Randy was recommended not to wrestle anymore, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go back. And the question was he going to be the same old Randy? Was he going to be doing the RKO and every other move he normally does, where he has to land on his back and lower back and take those shocks up his spine? It's a big question for us. And I can tell you, He did. Now, that does not mean he's going to keep doing this constantly. It might just be for this one match. But Randy made it very clear he wanted to be himself. He wanted to be like he was before he left. And he tried to. Now, I'm not telling you he did perfect. It does look like he's got a little bit of ring rust. But he did the RKO. He did the spot he always does off the ring rope. The DDT. He's done most of what he does. And he looked really good while doing it. He didn't look like he tanked at all. And at one point when he dealt with Jay, because after he nailed, I think it was JD McDonough, he turned to Jay, and Jay saw him, and I think he said, and this is Jay, "I'm sorry, Oos." And then he kicked, who was it? JD McDonough in the face. I believe that's the one he kicked. I don't remember who came after him after that. I think it was Finn. But I know he kicked JD McDonough in the face just after he said, "I'm sorry." That's what I think he said. So the question is going to be on this Raw, what are they going to do? Because if Randy is meant to be on Raw, he will be dealing with Jay again. We will be seeing Jay face to face with Randy Orton. And will they continue where they left off, where they hate, well, Jay apologizes and Randy either accepts or he tries to do what Drew did. And I got to say this about Drew. Did he do his part to make it feel like he hated Jey Uso? Yeah, he did. And then the match ended with Cody getting the pin over, who was it? Did he got the pin over? I can't remember who he got the pin over. JD McDonough. JD was one who was sacrificial. In fact, he was one who went to the top of the cage with Cody and with Seth and with, who was it? Seth and Sammy with JD, who basically was thrown off the cage and a jumping RKO down face first. That's another spot similar to what happened with I really, really hope that she didn't hurt herself. And that is Io, because that's not a good thing to do. That's dangerous. She could have whacked her head really hard on that aluminum can, because her head is not going to be stationary. Even if she holds herself, she's going to go like this, and her brain can be jiggled pretty hard. I'm just hoping she's all right. All finished until the one we knew was coming out. We knew it was a good chance he was going to show up, and he did. CM Punk came out. The last minute or two, CM Punk comes out. Everyone is cheering. He's right next to somebody. Chicago, screaming, "Chicago, this is Chicago, this is us." And he basically is on WWE. As I said, a good show. But B+ is B+. That's what we got here. Even with Randy Orton and CM Punk showing up with the last minute or two before they went off the air, it was a B+ show. That's not a bad show to have. But look what we didn't have. We had no more John Cena. We had no Jade Cargill. We had no Roman Reigns. We have no Logan Paul. Remember, Undisputed Champion's not there. U.S. Champion was not there. We didn't have the tag champs defending the titles on Survivor Series because they were in WarGames. We didn't have the women's tag champions saving in WarGames. Nope. We didn't even have the SmackDown champion in WarGames. Why? Because she was in WarGames. We didn't have no LA Knight. We had no Solo Sikoa. We had no Jimmy. And we didn't even have Paul Heyman. There's a huge amount of people that supposed to make the show better were not there. Or were not scheduled to be there. This was a B+ show. They could have brought Jade Cargill in to replace a Shotzi. They could have done that. They could have had LA Knight on the show. Even though he did do the commercial for Slim Jim, it's not the same. What did we get? We got the New Day coming in a car, that's a Slim Jim. We got Ruffles commercials. We had what? DraftKings commercials. This is what we had. And I'm not telling you it was all bad, but I can't tell you it was great. It was just good, not great. I don't care what anybody says. If they think I'm an idiot, fine. I don't care. I'll be an idiot. But at least I'm an honest idiot telling what you got. And I know someone down there is going to say, what do you mean by B+? I'm going to say, why is it not B+? I think I might say that. Peace.